The royal capital was having a normal, peaceful day. A girl named Aoi stops by a market stall to greet a local merchant. The guy asks why she's out alone today. Aoi just shrugs. Her mom's busy gossiping somewhere, so she's handling the shopping herself. She complains that her mom can talk forever, but the casual banter is suddenly cut short by an eerie silence. Someone points to the sky, asking what that thing is. High above the city, a massive shadow is descending through the clouds. A blinding flash of light erupts, forcing everyone to shield their eyes as the ground begins to shake violently. In an instant, the peaceful market is turned into a graveyard of rubble. Survivors scream for their families amidst the smoke and ruins. Standing in the middle of the destruction is the Black Dragon, one of the Demon King's most powerful lieutenants. The beast lets out a deafening screech that rattles whatever's left of the capital's buildings. Desperation sets in for the citizens, and the Royal Mage Corps leader barks out orders to get into formation immediately. The mages arrive just in time, giving the terrified crowd a tiny sliver of hope as they prepare for battle. They unleash a coordinated barrage of spells, lighting up the sky as they pour everything they have into the attack. The dragon doesn't even bother to move, staring down the incoming magic with pure indifference. A massive explosion rocks the city, and for a second, the soldiers think they actually landed a killing blow. But as the smoke clears, the Black Dragon is completely unscathed. Not even a single scratch managed to mark its obsidian scales. The monster opens its jaws for a counterattack, and the commander frantically orders his men to switch to defensive spells. A beam of concentrated fire tears through their magical barriers like they were made of paper. The defensive line is obliterated, sending the mages flying as their last hope for survival vanishes. With the military defeated, the citizens realize they're looking at the end. Even Aoi can only watch as the monster looms over them. Just as the dragon prepares to finish them off, a figure in dark robes appears, deploying a massive barrier to block the blow. He doesn't stop there, casting a high-level healing spell that rains down glowing droplets to mend everyone's wounds instantly. People realize their pain is gone and look up, seeing someone floating high above the chaos. The crowd goes wild. It's the world's only Grade 0 adventurer, the legendary hero known as the Black Emperor. He remains silent, his face hidden behind a visor as he stares down the monster that ruined the city. He raises his hand, manifesting a terrifying amount of energy into the divine annihilation spear. With a single smooth motion, the spear of light pierces straight through the dragon's chest. Even after that massive hit, the dragon is still standing. The hero just sighs, unimpressed that it survived a single strike. If one didn't do the trick, he's more than happy to keep summoning spears until the job is finally done. For the first time, the ancient beast looks genuinely terrified as it realizes what it's up against. A barrage of energy spears rain down, shredding the dragon's body in a brutal display of power. He makes it look easy, hovering calmly while the monster is systematically dismantled. He prepares a final blast, making sure the dragon doesn't get a chance to run away this time. A massive wave of light engulfs the beast, completely erasing it from existence. The threat is gone. The survivors can only stare in absolute silence at the man who just saved their lives single-handedly. The silence doesn't last long. The entire capital erupts in cheers, celebrating their savior. But the hero doesn't stick around for the applause. He turns and flies off toward the Adventurers Guild headquarters. Aoi watches him go, disappointed they didn't even get a chance to say thank you for saving them. Meanwhile, at the heart of the Empire, the staff at the guild headquarters is already preparing for his arrival. The Black Emperor walks into the guild like it's just another Tuesday, calmly telling them the mission is finally finished. The staff is in total shock. They thought taking down the Black Dragon was impossible, but he's already back for the next job. Instead of a new mission, he tells them that since the dragon is dead, he's finally holding up his end of the bargain. He's quitting. He bluntly announces his retirement from being a Grade 0 hero, leaving the entire guild staff horrified and speechless. Grade 0 is a title held by only 8 people in the world. His retirement sends shockwaves through every nation, but the legendary hero has officially vanished without a trace. 3 years have passed since the Black Emperor vanished from the world, but the man himself is finally exactly where he wants to be. He's traded his glowing robes for a simple tunic and a sword. Calling himself Blanc now, he's officially the world's strongest jobless man. He heads to a local guild to register, and he couldn't be happier to finally get his hands on a brand new grade 10 license. A cheerful receptionist named Lena welcomes him to the town of Claret, located in the kingdom of Rerate. She wishes him the best of luck with his career, and Blanc officially begins his long-awaited slow life. He used to be based in the busy Radiola Empire, but he eventually got tired of the noise and the suffocating crowds of the capital. During his 3-year break, he mastered a completely new combat style. He's using a sword now specifically to hide his identity as a legendary mage. As he walks through the gate, the gatekeeper notes that the town is right next to the demon forest, so more adventurers are always a good thing. The area is notorious for monster activity since a demon king lives nearby. Even simple herb gathering missions can be life-threatening for most. That's exactly why Blanc chose this place. It's full of the kind of grunt work that elite adventurers would never touch. He's fired up and ready to take on his first request as a low-rank rookie. But before he can get to work, he needs a proper place to stay, so he stops by the town's real estate office. He tells the elderly agent that he's looking to buy a house, and the man is more than happy to show him some listings. Most adventurers live out of inns because their money goes straight into gear maintenance, so a rookie wanting to buy a home is a rare sight. He remembers his master saying that while staying at an inn is fine, having a permanent home to return to is much better. When the agent asks for his preferences, Blanc doesn't hold back. He wants it as big as possible, and a bath is non-negotiable. The agent takes him to a house on the outskirts. It's near the plains where monsters often roam, but Blanc isn't bothered by the location at all. The place is massive and fully furnished. Despite the distance from the city center, Blanc decides right then and there that he'll take it. The agent asks if he wants to pay in installments, but Blanc just pulls out a giant bag of gold and offers to pay the full 10 million in cash. The old man is absolutely stunned as gold coins start spilling onto his desk, and Blanc realizes he might have made things a bit awkward. 10 million gold is a lot to haul around, but to Blanc, it's a total bargain compared to the massive rewards he used to get for slaying dragons. He admits the house might be a bit too big for just one person, but after his former life, he's finished with living in cramped spaces. He looks at his license and grins. He's finally achieved his goal of becoming a low-rank, grade 10 adventurer. While he enjoys his new status, other adventurers in the guild are busy gossiping about a talented kid who just skipped straight to grade 7. Back in his days as the Black Emperor, Blanc just stood there while other adventurers talked trash behind his back. Master Cole told him not to sweat it and just let his results do the talking. He walked off as people whispered about how he never complained, no matter how crazy the request was. The guy was a total monster, hitting the top rank of grade 0 in record time. Blanc sat by the window, lost in his memories. He remembered Cole telling him his final task, as her disciple, was to kill the Black Dragon to earn his freedom. He'd wondered back then if being a legendary hero even had a point. He was flooded with requests from nobles who wanted him by name, and he just blindly followed orders. Another job done, and he watched the chaotic joy of the guild around him. He asked about the noisy kids, and a receptionist told him they were just new grade 10 recruits. He was surprised they didn't fight monsters, but she explained they start with grunt work to build experience. He saw the townspeople actually thanking the kids for their help. It clicked for him. Even small jobs like gathering herbs or cleaning streets were making a real difference for regular people. Blanc realized he'd been so focused on killing that he never noticed the world around him. He'd spent his life taking down high-profile targets because that's what heroes do. But those monsters were just trophies for greedy nobles, living way out in the middle of nowhere. He clenched his fist, realizing he was the one being used as a high-end errand boy. He looked at the kids again, doing work that actually helped someone. As a grade 0, he was stuck with noble requests and wasn't allowed to take on the simple jobs he actually liked. He heard Master Cole's voice calling out to him. He snapped out of it, holding his new grade 10 adventurer card. Back then, he was just a weapon with no feelings and no identity. He didn't even know who he was, but he decided it didn't matter anymore. Now he was just Blanc, a bottom-tier adventurer. He was actually itching to get started on his first day of freedom. He headed out, wondering what his old master was up to right about now. Meanwhile, Cole was dealing with some very persistent guild officials. Chairman Vulcan was demanding to know where the Black Emperor was hiding. He slammed the table, frustrated that the hero had been missing for 3 whole years. He was desperate, claiming they had a massive backlog of requests that only he could handle. Cole just laughed it off, saying he was only obsessed because he couldn't force other adventurers to do his dirty work. Her expression went cold. Vulcan started to panic as a terrifying aura filled the room. The pressure was so heavy he literally couldn't breathe. She loomed over him, showing him the massive power gap between a grade 1 and a grade 0. Vulcan tried to argue that they needed the hero specifically because he followed orders without question. Cole stepped on his documents, calling his important jobs mere errands. She told him straight up that Blanc was never meant to be their tool. She'd only pushed him into adventuring so he could find a reason to live for himself. She warned the guild that they had no right to interfere with him anymore. She walked away, leaving the chairman gasping for air on the floor. Cole looked back at the building, hoping she'd finally bought him the peace he deserved. Master Cole stood alone, wondering how her student was handling his newfound freedom. She figured she'd done enough damage at the guild, so it was finally time to go see Blanc for herself. Back at the guild in Claret, Blanc was staring at the request board, trying to figure out where to start. He noticed the board was practically covered in low-ranked jobs that nobody else wanted to touch. Other adventurers were too busy looking for glory in monster hunts, leaving the boring stuff for the rookies. He walked up to the counter and told the receptionist he'd take on the Hyria grass collection quest. She logged the request onto his license, explaining that he could check the details whenever he needed. She even handed him a sample so he'd know exactly what to look for out in the wild. But just as he took it, that sharp, familiar headache spiked again. Suddenly, his brain was flooded with mystery knowledge. Everything from the plant's biology to the perfect way to turn it into poison. He brushed it off, thanked her for the sample, and headed straight for the woods. It didn't take long for him to find the right area in the forest. Once he started looking, he realized the grass was actually growing everywhere. Using that weird expert knowledge, he carefully harvested the stalks without damaging the roots so they could grow back. He was just minding his own business when a slime decided to try its luck and attack from behind. He didn't even break a sweat, just stomped the thing flat into a puddle. He looked at the slime core, the official proof of defeat, but he wasn't really doing this for the money. He just ignored the rest of the monsters and went right back to filling his bag with herbs. He ended up over-collecting because he actually enjoyed the mindless work. He dragged the massive haul back to the guild, where the receptionist was waiting. When he dumped the bag onto the counter, she could barely believe her eyes. She called him a strange one for being so carried away by a simple gathering quest. While she was checking the herbs, Blanc overheard some guys talking about weird rumors from the demon forest. People were spooked, claiming that high-tier monsters had somehow made it past the city walls. Blanc listened as they talked about the forest being home to the third demon king. But the receptionist was too excited to care, telling Blanc his herbs were in truly amazing condition. She was genuinely relieved because they'd been dealing with a major medicine shortage for ages. She beamed at him, congratulating him on successfully finishing his very first request. She handed back his license, officially marking the job as complete. Blanc couldn't help but crack a smile as he looked at the card. Hearing someone actually thank him for his help felt way better than he expected. He felt like a real, certified errand boy now, and he was already planning his next job. The next day, he was back at it, overlooking the town roofs. He wasn't hunting monsters this time. He was on a mission to find a missing cat. He spotted his target and cornered it near a chimney. "Gotcha," he whispered as he scooped up the thrashing calico. He jumped back down from the roof, holding the cat like it was a live grenade. The little beast was not happy about being rescued, scratching at him the whole way down. He announced the request was complete, even though the cat was currently trying to eat his face. He returned the monster to its owner, sighing as he realized that for some reason, animals and monsters just naturally hated him. Next up was a labor job for the Belmo Trading Company, where he met the boss himself. Belmo explained the job was simple. Just load all these heavy goods onto the wagon. Belmo mentioned that Blanc was the only one who even bothered to show up for the manual labor job. He vented about how most adventurers just want the glory of monster hunting, leaving the community's real needs to rot. Blanc didn't say much. He just walked over and hoisted a massive crate onto his shoulder like it was a bag of feathers. While Belmo stood there with his jaw on the floor, Blanc casually asked if there was a specific loading order for the wagon. The sight of the skinny kid, making them look bad, fired up the other workers, who suddenly found second wind. Even with everyone else rushing to keep up, Blanc stayed focused, steadily moving through the heavy workload. But things took a dangerous turn when one of the workers lost his footing, sending a heavy crate tumbling toward a young girl. Before anyone could scream, Blanc was there, catching the massive weight and the girl in one seamless motion. He looked down at her with a calm expression, asking if she was all right. The girl was safe, though she, and even the worker who tripped, seemed a bit dazed by how quickly he'd saved them. Blanc brushed it off, telling them he was just glad no one got hurt before asking Belmo to check the goods for damage. Belmo was nearly in tears from relief, thanking Blanc for saving both his cargo and his workers. He was so impressed that he offered Blanc a permanent job at the trading company right then and there. Blanc politely declined, explaining that he was actually starting to enjoy the freedom of his current lifestyle. As he headed back, the workers cheered him on, grateful for the help of someone so genuinely selfless. Over the next few days, Blanc threw himself into every errand he could find, finally feeling like he was doing something meaningful. But when he returned to the guild, the receptionist had some good news that made his heart sink. She officially promoted him to grade 9, but Blanc was devastated. He actually wanted to stay at the bottom of the ranks. He slumped over in despair, much to the confusion of the other adventurers who were used to people fighting for promotions. The receptionist tried to reason with him, explaining that grade 9 meant he could finally take on requests that keep the public safe. She reminded him that an adventurer's greatest mission is to clear out dangerous zones and keep civilians safe. Her words hit home, and Blanc realized that even if he preferred errands, he couldn't ignore people in real danger. He perked up immediately when she mentioned he could still pick up low-level gathering requests if he wanted to. With a sigh, she asked for his license to officially process the rank change while he muttered about his mystery box of skills. She handed back his new grade 9 license, but before he could leave, she told him there was a specific request she wanted to assign to him. She introduced Lena, a newly registered grade 10 adventurer, and said she needed a mentor to show her the ropes. Lena beamed at him, asking if he was the one she'd be learning from. Blanc froze in pure shock. The man who just wanted to be a background character was now someone's mentor. Lena is laying into Blanc. Apparently, his over-efficiency at low-level quests is hogging all the experience from the actual rookies. He tries to wiggle out of it by saying he's not the teaching type, but she isn't taking no for an answer. The receptionist points out that he's been dodging the messy jobs like finding lost cats because they're too much of a gamble. Blanc looks like he's having an existential crisis. He just wants a simple life, not to be the guy ruining the job market. Lena softens up a bit, admitting they love his high-quality herb hauls, but he's the first person they've ever seen go this hard on grade 10 work. She goes for the full-press guilt trip, begging him to take the girl under his wing as a favor. Share the wealth, she says, hoping some of his weirdly expert knowledge rubs off on the newbies. The adventurer is actually considering it. He doesn't mind teaching the skills, he just doesn't know how to explain where he learned them. He finally gives in, and Arya looks like she just won the lottery. The girl drops a 90-degree bow, introducing herself with enough energy to power the whole guild. Blanc is officially weirded out. She's hyped to find a fellow errand lover. Lena just waves him off with a grin, glad to have one problem solved. And so, the mentorship begins. They head into the forest to find some basic herbs. Blanc asks how much she knows. Arya admits she's basically a total beginner, only recognizing the most common grass. He shows her the first trick: cut the stem but leave the roots. That way, the plant survives and can be harvested again later. The teacher adds that keeping them in a damp cloth is better than water containers, which are just heavy and unnecessary. Arya is looking at him like he's a genius. He tries to say it's just common sense, but she's not buying the modesty. She's laughing now, realizing how much thought goes into even the smallest tasks. The man gives a tiny smirk. He might actually be enjoying this a little. The rookie is eager to learn more, and he's happy to oblige, warning her that errands will bite back if you don't respect them. Next lesson, Luck Grass. Arya almost steps on it, but he catches her just in time. He explains that this stuff is for mana restoration, but you have to handle it with care. They spend the day out in the field, with the pair looking at all the little details others usually ignore. He drops one final warning. Don't eat it raw unless you want a massive stomachache. Arya is taking notes on everything. Back at the guild, it's mission accomplished. The girl has already jumped up to grade 8. She's doing a victory dance, and Lena is genuinely impressed by how fast she's growing under his wing. Blanc is just relieved it's over. The staff member jokes that they should make this mentorship a regular thing, which is basically his nightmare. Lena asks if he's finally ready to take a real combat quest. His face says absolutely not. Meanwhile, the peanut gallery in the back is whispering about him. Apparently, he's already developed quite the reputation. The veterans are laughing at the infamous errand boy, thinking it's pathetic that a grown man won't even pick up a sword. The receptionist tells him to ignore the haters, reminding him that the guild actually values the work he does. Blanc is just stuck on the fact that he has a nickname. Infamous isn't exactly the kind of fame he was looking for. He turns to leave, officially done with his social interaction for the day. Lena watches him walk away, thinking he's a fascinating kind of weirdo. Her friend Rena pops up out of nowhere, curious about the man behind the rumors. The newcomer isn't impressed. To her, he looks like a guy with zero ambition who's perfectly content being a loser. Rena admits he's got a decent face, but his low-energy vibe is a total deal-breaker for her. Lena snaps back, telling her that his loser work is actually what's keeping the guild running. The brunette just shrugs it off. She knows exactly why she's working at the guild, and it's not for the paperwork. Rena's goal is clear. Find a high-ranking, wealthy hero and marry into the good life. She starts listing off the current boys of the guild, while Lena just sighs at how shallow the dating pool is. The dark-haired girl turns the tables, asking if Lena has anyone on her radar. The question clearly hits a nerve. Lena insists she's not looking for anyone, but her friend tells her she's making a mistake by not scouting the mid-ranks early. Rena isn't letting up. She wants the full scoop on Lena's romantic hypotheticals, and the poor receptionist is starting to sweat under the interrogation. Lena finally cracks, admitting she'd actually prefer a lower-ranked adventurer. Rena thinks she's lost her mind and offers to help her find someone with actual potential. The dark-haired girl is genuinely shocked. To her, marrying a low-ranker is just a fast track to poverty. She thinks her friend is being way too blunt about her low standards. Lena explains her logic. She doesn't need to live in a mansion. She just wants someone who isn't risking their life every single day. For her, time together is more important than a big paycheck. The conversation takes a serious turn when they mention Lena's father. He was a brave, honorable adventurer, but he also died on the job, leaving her alone. Rena goes quiet, realizing the weight behind her friend's words. It's hard to prioritize glory when you've seen the cost of it firsthand. She points out that finding a safe adventurer is basically a paradox, then brings up the errand boy from the latest gossip. Rena teases that the local errand runner might actually be Lena's perfect match. The receptionist just waves her off, trying to stay professional. The girl quickly backtracks, deciding that a guy with no ambition and zero reliability is a hard pass, no matter how safe he is. Lena laughs, agreeing that happiness is the most important factor. But as she smiles, her thoughts wander back to Blanc. Meanwhile, the man himself is back on the grind, hauling a stack of crates that would crush a normal person. Arya spots him and runs over, hyped for another team-up. Blanc immediately tries to turn down any combat, but she clarifies it's just a fruit-picking job in the Demon Forest. She's never been there, and she's a little spooked. The rookie admits she's nervous about going solo and was hoping he'd join. Blanc realizes he's never actually stepped foot in that forest either. Arya notices he's busy and starts to back off, not wanting to be a burden. But Blanc just gives her a simple sure and gets ready to move. He tells her they should head out right now. When she points out he's still working, he just tells her wait a second and vanishes in a blur of speed. Arya is left in the dust, completely floored by his physical stats. She realizes that even a basic rank like grade 8 is miles beyond what she expected. Doubts start creeping in. She looks at her own hands, wondering if she'll ever be able to move or lift like that. But she doesn't let the negativity win. She gives her cheeks a good slap, reminding herself why she chose this path in the first place. The rookie is determined to try harder, and Blanc is right there to give her a little encouragement. The two of them share a quick, motivated moment before getting down to business. They start their journey, with Arya still reeling from how fast he finished his work. Blanc is just focused on getting back before it gets dark. They reach the edge of the forest. The atmosphere shifts as the dense, dark trees loom over them. Deep within the woods, something ancient is stirring. A voice whispers in the dark, confused and overwhelmed by a sudden, powerful presence. A woman encased in roots awakens with a start. She recognizes the aura. It's the same thing she thought was killed long ago. The sixth demon king's hand reaches out from the tangled growth. The return of this power is the last thing she wanted to deal with. She's surrounded by the ruins of the forest floor, muttering about how she just wanted a quiet life without any trouble. The title card confirms the worst. The sixth Demon King has officially been woken up. Back with our duo, the peace is shattered when a giant snake lunges at them. Arya doesn't hesitate, conjuring a water ball to defend herself. She draws her sword, her eyes sharp and focused as she faces down the monster. With one swift, decisive movement, the rookie strikes the creature down. The snake's head hits the ground, and Blanc gives her a thumbs up. He's genuinely impressed by her growth. Arya beams with pride, explaining that she's been training like crazy. When he asks about her motivation, she mentions that her hometown was once attacked by the Black Dragon. She describes the day everything was destroyed. The soldiers were useless, and she was certain everyone was going to die. Then, a hero appeared. Arya recounts how the legendary Black Emperor swooped in, protected the people with a barrier, and slayed the dragon in a single, incredible strike. The Black Emperor is the whole reason she became an adventurer. Blanc just stares at her, feeling a weird mix of embarrassment and pride. Another snake tries its luck, and Arya jumps back into action. Blanc is stuck on the realization that his past life actually meant something to people. She clears the second threat with ease, and Blanc praises her form. He's starting to see the potential in her. They finally find the Olam fruits. Arya is thrilled, while Blanc's brain starts flooding with technical data about the fruit's biology. He slips back into mentor mode, teaching her the proper way to harvest without bruising the fruit or leaving long stems that could scratch the rest of the hull. Arya listens intently, soaking up every bit of knowledge. Blanc looks serious, clearly in his element despite it just being fruit picking. Suddenly, he stops. He senses a magical pressure so massive it makes the Black Dragon feel like a house cat. Blanc looks deep into the trees, realizing the demon forest is a lot more dangerous than rumors suggest. But even with that power looming, he doesn't feel any immediate hostility. Despite the mounting magical pressure in the distance, Blanc decides to stick to his side character script. He's curious, but for now, he chooses to simply observe from the sidelines. He reminds himself that his priority is the life he has now, not the battles he left behind. Moving with a speed and precision that defies his supposedly low rank, Blanc harvests orangia fruits in a blur of motion. Each stem is cut perfectly, leaving the fruit completely unharmed. Crates are filled to the brim in seconds, the sheer efficiency of his menial labor leaving the onlookers speechless. Blanc takes a breath, feeling satisfied. His mind is already drifting to the many things he still wants to accomplish in this quiet life. The workers behind him are left wondering how a human could possibly move like that. Belmo is so impressed that he begs Blanc to join them full-time. The protagonist politely declines the offer, while the man laments losing such a talented worker. As he walks through town, even the local guards and laborers notice how hard he's pushing himself. They worry he's working too much, but Blanc is just caught off guard by the concern. He agrees that breaks are important, but honestly, this level of work doesn't even feel like overdoing it to him. Helping people out is just what he does now. Blanc takes a moment to appreciate Claret. In his past life, he was always racing from one catastrophic job to the next. The idea of just relaxing and exploring a town was completely foreign to him. He stops at a food stall where the owner is boasting about his world-class grilled skewers. He insists there's more to Claret than just the demon forest. Blanc takes a bite and is genuinely surprised. He realizes that visiting a new land and ignoring its culture and food would be a total waste of his new freedom. With a look of pure determination, he declares that he'll make time to explore the town more regularly. The stall owner and a nearby guard are amused by his sudden seriousness. The owner hands him another skewer on the house, laughing at his enthusiastic reaction. Blanc is happy to accept the local hospitality. The stall owner notes that everyone in town really appreciates what Blanc's been doing. Even though Blanc sees it as just adventurer work, the community sees him as a reliable helper. Another worker mentions how Blanc's regular foraging has allowed them to stock up on healing potions, something they were always running out of before. He tells Blanc to eat his fill as a token of thanks. Blanc gladly accepts, touched by the genuine gratitude of the people he's helped. As he eats, Blanc reflects on how good the food tastes. It's a sharp contrast to his old life, where everything felt gray and tasteless. He knows promotions and rewards are what drive most adventurers, but he's found something better. He wonders why he felt so lifeless back then. He realizes it's because of his master that he can finally enjoy these peaceful moments, and he feels a deep sense of debt to her. He smiles, deciding that errands can be just as cool as monster hunts in their own way. The townspeople watch him, thinking he's a good guy, if a little strange. They tease him about not giving Lena too much trouble, since she seemed stressed out the other day. Suddenly, more people swarm him, offering various goods as thanks for his help. Blanc is quickly buried under a mountain of generous gifts. He tries to protest, saying he can't possibly carry it all, but the townspeople won't take no for an answer. The gardener woman spots him struggling under a massive pile of sacks and baskets. She can't help but chuckle at the handsome devil getting more than he bargained for. Blanc finally makes it to a quieter street, carrying enough supplies to feed a small army. He politely declines even more flowers from a nearby shop. He mentions to the gardener that he's thinking of starting a small backyard farm. She thinks it's a wonderful idea, given the size of his yard. She recommends tamarind, explaining it's high in nutrients and incredibly easy to maintain. Blanc's internal knowledge is already cataloging the advice as he picks out some seeds. After some hard work in the yard, Blanc stands back to admire his new garden. He feels a sense of accomplishment that has nothing to do with saving the world. It occurs to him that this is the first time he's actually relaxed in the house since he bought it. He has something new to look forward to every morning. That night, he sinks into a hot bath, letting out a long, satisfied sigh. The quiet life is exactly what he needed. But far away in the heart of the forest, the peace is a fragile thing. A massive wood entity, fueled by the awakening power of the Demon King, looms over the landscape. A reminder that in the face of true despair, humanity often finds itself powerless. Blanc is finally settling into his peaceful life as a low-rank errand boy. But things aren't going great. He's been wandering the forest and hasn't found a single herb. He wonders if Arya came out here and over-harvested everything after his lesson. If he fails this simple job, his reputation as a reliable worker is going to take a hit. Suddenly, he stops. A massive presence just appeared nearby. This pressure is way too strong for a normal forest. We're talking grade 3 or higher. It's a tyrant golem, a massive plant-based beast. The thing has been sucking the life energy out of the trees, which is why the whole forest is dying. Blanc realizes this monster is the exact reason he can't finish his errand. He's about to deal with it when he spots someone lying in the dirt. It's Arya, and she's barely breathing. He rushes over to her side immediately. She's in bad shape, coughing up blood and whispering for help. Blanc pulls out a high-grade healing potion, the kind of stuff no rookie should ever be carrying. He manages to stabilize her, glad he always keeps the top-shelf supplies on hand. As she starts to recover, he lets out a sigh of relief. Looking at the golem, he tries to remember a lesson his master taught him about this specific type. He needs to get her back to town, but he's not finished here yet. A massive shockwave rips through the clearing. He holds her close, wondering what the hell is happening to the forest. 2 more tyrant golems emerge from the shadows, surrounding them. Blanc's expression shifts. It's about to get messy. One of the golems lunges, moving incredibly fast for its size. They're coordinating their attacks, which is way too smart for a monster like this. He tells the unconscious Arya to hang on while he wraps this up. A massive fist slams down, but Blanc doesn't even flinch. He spins and delivers a powerful slash, cutting through the beast with ease. He lands perfectly, holding Arya tight while keeping his sword ready. He admits his skills aren't quite at his master's level yet, but they're not too shabby either. Now, he has a new problem to deal with. He's standing over the defeated golems, wondering what to do with the bodies. If he leaves them here, the guild will find out he took down 3 massive monsters. He can already see the promotion and the endless noble commissions he hates. He decides he has to erase every bit of evidence before Arya wakes up. He considers using a special type of elemental magic that his master specifically warned him against. But screw it. Nobody's watching, so he might as well clean up the mess. He raises his hand, ready to finish this. Suddenly, he stops, feeling a magic power that's far beyond anything he's sensed before. This power is denser and more overwhelming than a Grado threat. He watches as the defeated remains of the golems start to glow with a strange light. They're actually merging together into a single, massive entity. A giant wood golem rises, bigger and more terrifying than the three before it. Blanc is face to face with a massive beast, realization dawning on him that this won't be a quick fix. He clicks his tongue, admitting the thing is a lot tougher than it looks. He analyzes the situation, noticing the material of its body hasn't changed, even if its power has spiked. Blanc looks up at the towering wood monster, unfazed by its size. Blanc determines that the creature absorbed the surrounding magic to toughen its outer layer. But he's not worried. Once he understands how a monster works, taking it down is simple. He decides to treat the golem as a stress reliever for the frustration of failing his simple errand. He launches himself into the air, bringing his blade down with enough force to shatter stone. He spins through the air, completely in control of the battle. A massive shockwave erupts as his blade connects, tearing through the monster's defenses. Blanc's logic is simple. If magic makes it hard, hit it with even more powerful magic. He doesn't hold back, overwhelming the golem's reinforced body in a single, crushing display of power. The golem disintegrates completely, leaving behind nothing but a pile of worthless dust. Blanc stands over the remains, realizing he's effectively erased every bit of evidence of his true strength. He carries the unconscious Arya back to the guild, arriving at the gate with his errand complete. The guild members can hardly believe their eyes when they see the two low-rankers return. Sometime later, Arya slowly opens her eyes in a quiet infirmary room. Lena is right there by her bedside, a look of pure relief on her face. Arya gasps as the memory of the terrifying tyrant golem comes rushing back to her. Lena quickly reassures her that everything is fine and she's finally safe. The young girl is confused, wondering how she even made it back alive. Suddenly, branch leader Oof bursts into tears, his loud sobbing echoing through the guild. The massive man is so relieved he's practically vibrating, scolding them for making him worry so much. Arya is stunned by the display, but Lena explains that their boss is just extremely emotional. When Arya asks who saved her, Lena reveals it was Blanc who brought her back. The report states that the golem had already vanished by the time he found her, leaving a huge mystery. Arya is asked to give a statement about what exactly happened in the depths of the forest. She starts recounting the battle, though the details are hazy in her mind. She remembers the swarm of monsters and the golem going in for the kill before everything went black. Lena ponders the story, thinking Blanc must have just gotten incredibly lucky with his timing. Arya realizes that despite the brutal attack, her injuries are completely gone without even a scar. She wonders if a legendary high-rank adventurer was nearby and saved them both. In her mind, she sees a mysterious hero, never imagining it was the errand boy standing right there. She knows she has to find whoever it was and thank them properly for her life. She spots Blanc at the counter, but he seems way too busy to talk. He's practically begging to take on more work, desperate to get back to his routine. Lena keeps a cheerful smile on her face as she delivers the bad news. Blanc's heart sinks as he sees the notice board. All low-rank missions are currently suspended. It's been a month, and the investigation into the golem incident is still keeping the forest closed. With the core sealed off, there are no simple gathering tasks left for him to do. Lena suggests that this might be the perfect time for him to finally take a promotion exam. Blanc vanishes before she can even finish the sentence, sighing as he realizes how much his one act of heroism has messed up his peaceful life. Blanc stands outside, contemplating his next move. Without any work to do, he's half tempted to just call it a day and head home to tend a garden. But he can't ignore the fact that the entire town is suffering because the forest is closed. He realizes that as a self-proclaimed errand adventurer, he shouldn't just sit around and wait for someone else to fix the problem. He resolves to take matters into his own hands. If he eliminates the source of the trouble himself, his peaceful, low-key life will return to normal that much faster. After making sure the coast is clear, he effortlessly clears a high stone wall and heads toward the restricted zone. He sneaks past the perimeter, noting that the demon forest is even more vast than people describe. Once inside, he begins tracking the faint magic signature he detected during his previous encounter with the golems. He weighs his options, thinking that flying would be the quickest way to travel, but the mana required might alert whatever is lurking in the depths. Opting for stealth over speed, he decides to just run the distance, confident that he'll reach his goal eventually no matter how deep he has to go. A sudden, thunderous noise echoes through the trees, signaling something massive is approaching. Blanc stops as he spots a large beast crashing through the underbrush, seemingly fleeing from something even more dangerous deeper within. A ferocious rank 6 rock grizzly lunges at him with a deafening roar, but Blanc barely glances at it. He apologizes for being in a rush and effortlessly dodges the creature's attack, continuing his journey into the heart of the forest. Blanc leaps over a horde of monsters, making a break for it as things start getting messy. He doesn't look even remotely interested in a fight right now. A whole parade of rank 3 monsters shows up, from a chaos monkey to a massive tyrant golem and a berserk treant. He just hops right past them, more annoyed that they're cluttering up his path than anything else. He figures if anyone else wanted to clear this mess, they'd need at least rank 2 skills just to survive. As he readies himself, he's suddenly reminded of the brutal training days he spent with his master. He can still hear Sword Saint Klul screaming his name from back then. She was a total nightmare, drilling into him the lesson that losing focus for even a second meant death. Shaking off the memories, he continues his sprint deeper into the woods. It's been 3 days, and he's getting worried the guild will start getting suspicious, mostly because he can't stand the thought of Branch Leader Oof's emotional breakdowns. Finally, he reaches his destination, the core of the forest's magic. The pressure here is intense, making that fusion golem from before look like a complete joke. Sensing someone nearby, he calls them out to show themselves. He spent 3 whole days getting here and isn't in the mood for hide and seek. Suddenly, a massive surge of power forces him to stay on high alert. He sarcastically notes it's quite the welcome as he feels a terrifying aura closing in. A woman emerges from the roots, looking at him with suspicion and asking if he's actually human. Blanc gives her a flat look and confirms that he is. She's confused by his presence, while he's more concerned that she's calling herself the 6th Demon Lord. He asks her what she's even talking about since common knowledge says there are only 5 of them. He figures if he can settle this through dialogue, it'd be ideal, especially since some Demon Lords are supposedly friendly. But she's busy wondering why the 6th Lord would even bother carrying a weapon like a sword. Blanc is completely lost and asks her to actually explain what she means. She mentions that the previous 6th Lord was a lot different from the rest of her kind. Apparently, the last one was some kind of mindless vessel of destruction that erased everything in its path. She decides the only way to be sure about him is to test his power for herself. Massive, dark roots suddenly erupt from the ground all around her as she attacks. Blanc realizes diplomacy is officially off the table and steels himself for the clash. He starts hacking away at the vines, but it's getting hard to manage the sheer volume with just a standard blade. The Demon Lord looks down at him coldly, reminding him that they're still enemies of humanity. He keeps dodging, realizing he's got no other choice but to stop holding back. Even with all his training, he's starting to feel overwhelmed by the constant pressure. He summons the God-slaying spear, a powerful all-element spell that packs a massive punch. Since there are no witnesses around, he figures it's finally time to let loose. She's stunned to feel a trace of the 6th Lord's attribute in what was supposed to be a basic spell. Blanc's eyes go wide as even more roots surge toward him from every direction. He's firmly on the back foot now and demands some real answers if she wants to keep fighting. He stays low, searching for an opening while hoping she doesn't have an infinite mana pool to draw from. She reaches out, her hand glowing with an ominous dark energy. Before he can react, she traps him inside an absolute demon-severing barrier. He looks up in shock as the hexagonal seal snaps shut right in front of him. He struggles against the vines, realizing he's in a serious bind. Trapped inside the massive knot of vines, Blanc realizes he's in a serious bind as the seal starts to tighten. The 6th Demon King stands triumphantly before her heaven-sealing demon tree, a barrier meant to erase anything caught inside. She gives him a smug gotcha and asks if he's finally ready to stop resisting and start talking. Blanc looks down at his sword, frustrated that his current techniques aren't even leaving a scratch on the roots. He's shocked that a move powerful enough to take down a fused tyrant golem didn't even make this thing budge. The magic flowing through this cocoon is in a completely different league than anything he's faced lately. But when it comes to raw mana reserves, Blanc knows he doesn't have to back down to anyone. He starts channeling a massive amount of energy, creating a dense, swirling vortex of mana. Concentrating everything into a single point, he shouts for the barrier to break. A blinding flash of light erupts as he attempts to force his way out of the magical trap. As the smoke clears, Blanc is stunned to find that he hasn't done any damage at all. The sixth Demon King just laughs at his effort, telling him that regular magic is completely useless against this seal. She explains that this is the same magic once used to lock away the sixth Demon Lord, but Blanc is more confused about all this six talk. Honestly, his stomach is starting to hurt from the stress. Or maybe he's just really hungry for some grilled skewers. He takes a deep breath, realizing he can't afford to play around if he wants to get home. Since he's fighting a literal demon lord, he figures there's no point in holding back his true power anymore. The sixth Demon King is momentarily distracted by the shift in the atmosphere as Blanc prepares a forbidden spell. Dark energy begins to coalesce in his hand, a technique that usually wipes him out completely. He summons his ultimate weapon, the Lance of Endings, a pitch-black spear of pure destructive force. With one decisive thrust, the spear easily pierces through the heart of the supposedly unbreakable tree. The Demon King's smug expression vanishes instantly as she watches her ultimate barrier crumble into dust. Blanc steps out from the wreckage, looking completely drained but still standing as he asks her if she's satisfied. He's barely hanging on, having burned through almost all his mana with that single massive attack. Instead of attacking again, the sixth Demon King leans in close, her eyes wide with a sudden, wild curiosity. She grabs his collar and demands to know if he's the one who possesses the heart of the sixth Demon Lord. She's genuinely shocked, explaining that they all thought that heart had been completely erased from existence long ago. She finds it fascinating that such a powerful artifact survived and ended up inside a mere human. Blanc is completely lost by her rambling and demands to know if she's still planning to be his enemy. She explains that the sixth lord was an enemy to everyone, demons, gods, humans, and the entire planet. Blanc looks down, admitting that he doesn't really know who or what he actually is either. He figures if his master never mentioned it during their training, then it's probably fine for now. He looks her dead in the eye and asks the only question he cares about: is she his enemy or not?